Adam from AFE, and we're here with Unisport, and today we're working on the long pass. And listen, it's not just about smacking the ball as hard as you can. It's about timing, technique, and knowing exactly when and where to do it. Let's get into it. Why does the long pass matter? Because with one pass, you can open up the game, switch up the tempo, eliminate multiple defenders, and just like that, game's changed. See the space before you receive the ball, control the game with your vision first. Because without vision, the long pass doesn't exist. So that's why we constantly scan information. Yes, scan. Take a look around every once in a while. And then there are those moments where you receive the ball and you just know your teammate, you know the situation, and you don't even have to look. You just receive and let it rip. So let's get technical and dissect this ball. We're gonna break this thing up into 3 parts. We have our top, middle, and bottom. And then if we take that and split it in half vertically, we have our left and our right side. Now, depending on where we make contact with this ball is gonna determine the trajectory. If we hit more to the right side of the ball, it obviously is gonna start rotating that ball. If we hit to the left, outside, depending on the foot that we use. And then with curve, if we add force and spin, that will give us that different trajectory, and that's physics for you. And thank you, high school diploma. So first, we're gonna talk about the chip. So Aaron's approaching to the ball. We're only focusing on the bottom third and as close to that midline so that we're only generating backspin and no curve or trivela outside the foot curve. So if Aaron was going to strike this ball to be a chip, instead of any sort of angle of the foot, we're trying to be as square to the ball as possible because we only want this nice lofted backspin. So for the motion of it, we're trying to think, and this is a very simple cue, toes up, knee up. So as soon as your toes come up, we bend our knee to bring the knee up. That's gonna get that ball to kind of have that loop and just drop straight down. That's the ball that you kind of hang into space so that your teammate can just run onto it. You just drop that ball behind the defense, they run on. Hopefully we're one-on-one on goal. And it would look something like this. We just come in, nice lofted, and it just sets. It's like you're chipping onto the green of a golf course type of thing, you know? Just like, I don't even golf. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the driven pass, or as some of you like to call it, the ping, or put it on a line. Whatever, it all looks good, right? So we're gonna get into the more technical side of the ball again. We have our bottom third where we were doing the chip, and now we're gonna move up to that somewhere between the bottom third and the mid third, okay? This is where we're gonna be making that contact. It's gonna put it on a line, it's gonna be way more direct, it's gonna move faster through the air because it's not lofty, it's not going up and dropping down. We're hitting more towards the middle of the ball, so think on a line. So let's move and start talking about the part of the foot that is making the contact with that part of the ball that we just discussed. Instead of the chip being very square to the ball and getting underneath it with our toes, we're moving on like a 45-degree angle with our hips. And I'm not a doctor or a podiatrist, but whatever that big toe, we take our big toe and go to the next big bone that hangs out. We're using that big bone because it's nice and hard. It's gonna create nice, good pingy contact. And we're moving, like I said, on that 45-degree angle. Just like every striking technique comes from the knee and making sure that we're following through the ball and making sure in our head, we're kind of thinking, I need to follow through to, as if I was gonna cut this ball in half with my foot. So if we were going to approach to ping one to Aaron, we move, we plant, eyes on ball. Again, good contact, big bone, just behind the big toe, bottom to middle third of that ball. It's gonna generate a nice backspin so it's easier for Aaron to receive or whoever your teammate is receiving. Backspin, puts the ball in a line, makes it way easier to track and settle. So if I were to go through, right on the chest, Aaron took it like a champ because that's what we do here. So in order to generate curve, we need to apply spin first. So if we were to put a pole down the middle of the ball, and kind of brush the ball in this direction, we get the ball to start rotating from your foot as well. Same thing, exactly. We also need to start, in order to get this ball to lift and to drop, what we know from the chip and the driven or ping, we're kind of starting at the bottom and brushing up. So if we were to draw a line, it'd be this curved line to get that ball to get up, drop into space on a curve. So if we were to kind of go through that with my finger here to make sure that Aaron is generating perfect. Notice how he's kind of brushing up. Perfect. That's why we call it shaping the ball. We're quite literally drawing the shape that we want that ball to go on with our foot. So let's put it into practice. So to put this into real time, we're gonna apply that force that we were talking about so that we get that ball to curve and not just spin on a straight line. Because if we were to not apply any force to this, it would just do this. So, Aaron,
yes.
Please show us what you've learned here by applying force and shaping that ball with your foot. We passed. That was damn good. So we just came from curving that ball, and now we're gonna go with the outside of the foot, or trivela. So we went from brushing that ball to creating that type of inside the foot spin. Now we're just gonna go in that opposite direction. Again, if we were to draw that line vertically down the middle of the ball, we're now going to the left for your right footers out there. So using the outside of that foot to generate the spin going this way. So if we come down to the ground where this is all going to take place, again, if we were to drop a pull down the middle of that ball, we just came from brushing that ball here. Now we're gonna brush it to the outside. Now we switch up using that big bone just by your big toe. Just go to the opposite side, draw a line straight across that pinky area. This is gonna be your sweet spot. Now if we talk about the ball, again, same thing. Starting kind of bottom and working our way up, again, generating that spin. And we already know if we can generate spin, we apply force. That's what's gonna get the ball to have some more movement to it, having that outside of the foot or trivela. So, same idea. Now, our approach slightly changes for this. We're kind of going back to that chip type of approach because we need to kind of get our foot in this position. Now, if I were to be staring directly at you without the ball, we're kind of in this position. So we're creating the spin like this. See how that's done? So a little bit more square, so it's easier for us to get our foot and our ankle into that position. Approach the ball, again, swiping up. Again, didn't apply a lot of force, but we see how I started here, ball was here, and where that ball ended up. Just with that little bit of force, that ball started to curve. Again, we had max or 50% more, then that ball is actually going to travel. So, put it all together. We have our approach, okay? Again, my vision, I have my information, I see what I want to do. Play the ball out wide. There we go. We've now covered the bottom and middle third of this ball. Last and not least, top third. But we only get to that top third when we've mastered these others, and nothing can substitute mastering those other techniques. Repetition. That's all you can do. It's just rep, rep, rep every day. Chips, drivens, pings, inside the foot curve, trivela, outside the foot curve. Once we've mastered these things, then we can move on to that top spin or hitting the top third of that ball so that we get that half volley. With half volleys, so much is about timing because the ball is bouncing. A volley, ball's in the air. When we go to half volley, it's about allowing this ball to bounce so that I can then, as it is coming up, my foot is coming down on top of that ball to force it back into the ground, and hopefully it glides nice and easy on the surface. We need to wait and listen for that bounce. As soon as it bounces and comes up, this is where my foot is coming in and cutting down, and you see how that spin goes just with my hand alone. If everything goes according to plan, you know, it creates that type of spin. So one more time, hit bounce, my foot is coming down, we're cutting down top of the ball, and we see how that generates that spin. And as you've noticed, a lot of these techniques are a lot of the same things, right? So for me, again, biggest surface, inside of the foot, that's where we're trying to make that contact. Getting on top of the ball, using the biggest and widest part of the foot, it's gonna beat the inside. So, same, ball comes, I'm there, ball is nice and easy on the ground. One ball that can cut out multiple defenders and change the whole game. That's the pass that's worth training, and there's no substitute for repetition. Be sure to sign up for AFE's community if you want to learn more stuff from us, and be sure to also subscribe to Unisport.